Hopefully that might make it a
Whoa,
little
that was
better.
not good.
Oh, really? I sound like ass now?
Yes.
Okay.
Don't you sound bad?
Tell the Autobots to roll out, James.
Autobots, roll out.
Wow,
Oh my God!
that's uncanny.
Do it again. Do it again.
Megatron, one must stand and one must fall.
Wow.
Nice.
Okay, now make you sound normal again, but that was way
Freedom is
awesome.
the right of all sentient beings. Hi, I'm Wheelie. Want to be friends? No. Get the fuck away from me. What the fuck have you guys been doing while I was dead? This whole place looks like shit. This is Cybertron? I left it clean.
Want to ring the bell?
I'm taking it back. I'm taking them all back.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
I'm a woman, Daddy. Rebel. I am the walrus.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Jon Hates Movies, the movie review podcast where my friends prevent me from donning my reconnaissance garb and attending reconnaissance fair, and instead force me to watch movies. Today, we have with us Eric Largent.
Tally ho.
We have, I almost said Chris Arsenault, but he's not, Todd Meter.
That's what I like about them high school girls, man. I keep getting older, but they stay the same age. Yes, they do.
Nice.
We have Tabby Walters.
There's a snake in my boot. Hey, guys.
And we have James Barrup.
You see that ceiling fan? I dragged it from the bottom of a river. Best ceiling fan I ever owned.
There you go. So for those of you who are curious what we watched this week, we watched the Matthew McConaughey Oscar bait vehicle that didn't quite catch, the movie Mud.
Yay, Mud.
Yay, Mud.
Mud. I did it last podcast, but my name is Mud.
Yes.
Where you going, city boy?
So, two Mississippi teens meet peculiar drifter Mud and get caught up in his web of tall tales about lost love, crimes of passion, and bounty hunters. Starring the dreamboat Matthew McConaughey, Reese Witherspoon. Witherspoon.
I'm a wizard!
I'm a wizard!
Oh, that would be so
You're
cool.
a wizard, Reese.
Yes. Ty Sheridan. And it was directed by Jeff Nichols. So, who wants to start us off with Mud?
I want to go first just a little bit because there's okay. First off, there's nothing here, and that's my review. No, okay. So, John, I want to go first because I want to ask you a very important question. Are you going to do John Makes This Movie Better?
Probably not. And I'll
Okay,
tell you
then.
why when it gets to my time.
Then I'm going to do a proper review then. But yeah, watched it last night. This is a movie that has 7 different production houses that you've never heard of. At the very beginning, that was the first thing I noticed. I
They
was
have
like,
7?
like pretty much it's like, oh, Everest Entertainment, Film Nation Entertainment, Blue Jeans Entertainment, Orchid
Is that
Entertainment.
normal, or does that mean it got passed around a bunch?
No, I think that's actually more normal for indie films that have to go to a lot of different small studios for funding.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
What's funny is that this movie could have been made for much less, but they sprung on McConaughey, who probably was willing to do it cheap.
Sprung on one other guy, too.
No, they had the thing is that they had a list of C-string celebrities.
Mm-hmm.
They had like every actor from like that TV show you love.
They had the HBO TV stars.
Yeah.
They also
They
had
2 people.
They had Michael Shannon being like grossly underutilized.
Is he Zod?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, 2 people from Boardwalk Empire.
Mm-hmm.
The lady from with the American Horror Story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The older, non-attractive one.
Mm-hmm. The girl from Legally Blonde.
Yeah.
The,
I did not recognize her at all.
I didn't,
Yeah.
I didn't
in this
recognize him
movie.
until about halfway through, but the actor who plays the father is from Deadwood.
Oh, he's from Deadwood.
Yep.
Now, it took me like half a second for me to realize that, and then after that, I just couldn't stop giggling because I could just imagine him being, because he was the overjoyed preacher, and like
The
the guy who was always
preacher.
filled with, who was filled with stupid optimism about everything, and I just imagine him being like, "Son, isn't it great that the Lord in his infinite wisdom has decided to tear our house apart by board, and I can no longer make a living in the dream life that I've always wanted. Boy, the Lord is fantastic, isn't he? He giveth and he taketh.
And he taketh, and he taketh.
Taketh. And he just never stops taking it.
Taking it.
Praise
Taking it.
Yeah, so I don't necessarily know what the hell the deal was with this movie. It seems like nobody was willing to really take any chances, because it seems like in this movie there was a good movie. However, they didn't go the obvious Oscar bait switches, what I was expecting, because I heard about this movie and I heard about how it was Oscar bait, and I was like, ugh, fuck, because I had to sit down and watch Radio on a plane one time. And I was pretty much expecting Radio 2, Bum in the Woods.
What were you expecting, like, Matthew McConaughey to be like a special needs guy that just lives on a boat on an island?
I expected him to be like a bum on the island that nobody liked and everybody told him to go away. And then he'd tell some heartbreaking story, and he'd make friends with these two little kids who would tell the town how misunderstood he actually was. And then, the guy would try to save the kid after something awful would happen, which was contrived and stupid. And the kid would die, and everybody would forgive him because he's a hero. Yeah,
Well,
I
didn't
really
happen.
expected one of the kids to die.
I thought it was going to be Nick.
Yeah. But they didn't kill the kid, which is good, because in these cheapo Oscar bait movies that are pretty much like, rip-offs of Stand By Me, the kid always dies.
Mhm.
Always. So thank God they didn't do that. However...
Can I just add, I'm glad that they didn't make the father an abusive alcoholic.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
I was waiting for that for the entire movie.
Yeah.
No, he was just a sad sack. So, we've heard the setup. Bum in the Woods, he's apparently a tall tale guy, and he lies, and he's telling all these stories about people around the town. When did he lie? Because at the end, they're all like, oh, he's a liar, he's full of shit. And even at the end, he's like, you're right, I'm a liar. He didn't lie once at all.
So the only lie he told was that wasn't his dad.
Or he lied the entire time. I mean, there was no big reveal that really proved it one way or the other.
He said he was an assassin. I mean, there was just big, like, little stretches of truth, because, I mean, he could have been an assassin.
Yeah,
He said he was an assassin.
much.
He was definitely a sharpshooter. So, yeah, he never lied. There was no real, like... I kept on waiting for a twist or a payoff, and there never really was much of anything.
Mhm.
And that's pretty much the entirety of the movie. There was pretty much nothing of anything. However, here's how we make this movie better, because there's a good movie here. I feel like comparing this movie to two movies, one being Big Fish, and the other one being Winter's Bone.
Oh, yeah.
Now, you want to watch a movie that's kind of about crime in the rural America, that one is good and depressing and will fucking stick with you. Thinking about those movies and about a few other movies, what you kind of do is you have the kids meet him. It's first off, you have the young kid always getting into fights. I feel that's like good, right? It's solid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Then, you have his dad constantly yelling at him for getting into fights, and his mom both getting after him. When they meet Mud and they start talking to him and everything like that, Mud will actually, start telling him more about the people around town, like the junk guy being like, let's say he knows the junk guy, and he's like, oh yeah, the junk guy, he's actually like an engineer, and he was like an engineer in the military for some odd many years, and he's built all this crazy, like I've seen him do amazing stuff. You have like the assassin guy. And one of the big reveals, of course, being that like his dad was like a Silver Gloves boxer. who almost died in the ring and then left because, he didn't want to leave his family, dead or something like that, You still have, this is the mob actually after him? Is it not kind of a thing going on? You play that a lot more ambiguous than it was in the movie. Maybe you have him, saying, yeah, I killed a guy, but the truth is he never actually did. However, at the end, you have the high noon moment where all the people come out. All the people come out to help him. They all kind of got this little plan. You can even have like flashbacks of their childhood together and actually build this town and its characters with you can have the crooked cops be like a gang of bullies that were there, and they're not actually good cops. They're crooked. They're with the mob, and they set him up to be the murderer when really the entire time the pistol that he had in his pants was an airsoft, and he's never hurt anybody in his entire life. So, I mean, that's what you kind of do is you kind of build up these mythical figures, and the payoff is that, surprise, they actually are kind of bigger than they were in his story. But still kind of grounded in reality a bit. I mean, they don't come out as like superheroes, but still, more than just one guy shooting a bunch of them from his roof. Sharpshooter, a demolitions guy, a guy who can build tanks out of scrap.
So, the whole town is, retired special ops? Is that the deal?
Pretty much.
I mean, that's a completely different movie.
Right, yeah.
It would have been.
Yeah, the A-Team busting out of retirement.
The A-Team busting.
It's not so much like that they're like the A-Team. It's just, this town's kind of sick of being under the thumb of this easy mob family that's been fucking their their town over for a long time. And
old BA who works at the garage, he used to pity the fool, but now
and so pretty much because this kid gets involved with this guy that the mob the entire town's just kind of I'd like to help him but I can't because they realize that they'd be going against the mob, but once the kid gets involved, the kid's threatened, and now they're motivated to actually stand up to the mob and to take down the mob.
So this is like the Expendables, except nobody goes anywhere.
Exactly. It seemed like they were kind of trying to go for the action movie. They couldn't decide between Oscar bait or action movie. And honestly, if they had stuck with one or the other, preferably slight fantasy action movie, it would have been a much better movie. As it was, it left me with nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Well, Johnny, I can pick it up from here if you'd like.
Absolutely. Why don't you go ahead, Eric?
Yeah, so we're getting a lot of references to this being Oscar bait, and I'm wondering if that was just because John called it Oscar bait on our Facebook, because this movie didn't get a wide release. It didn't get the kind of push that that movies get, in November and December when Oscar season's ramping up. I really don't think this was Oscar bait. I think it was just an indie movie.
Okay.
I picked up on that because it was very popular on NPR.
Well, you know what? I actually like this movie quite a bit. I thought it was it had a lot of the Southern Gothic touches that I like. It reminded me a bit of a Flannery O'Connor novel where it's not or a short story where it's the story and what happens. It's not going to knock your socks off. It's just the environment and the atmosphere is kind of the point, and just seeing the lives of these people. I kind of think that was what was going on with this movie, and I liked it. I like kind of seeing these kind of stories about people that are way off the beaten path. I really liked Neckbone. That's one of the hardest fucking nicknames of all time. I really kind of hope that his Christian first name is Neckbone because that would be awesome. I also love Neckbone because he was wearing a Fugazi shirt for the first half of the movie. I was really hoping that he would keep that on, that's his only shirt. So his parents are dead. and Michael Shannon's just got some leftover shit from when he was a kid, when he liked Fugazi, and that's the only shirt he could give Neck, so that's the shirt that Neck wears now. Okay, so there were a couple of characters in the movie, the dad and then and Neckbone's uncle, that both could have been scumbags, and like it would have been very typical of at least other movies that I've seen that are like this, to make those characters scumbags. But so other than the uncle having some apparently strange tastes in bed, and the father being just like a general not good at making money and not wanting to not live on a little boat on the Mississippi River. Really, those are the only like terrible things about those people. Like, so I actually really kind of appreciated that they didn't have these guys that they could have easily made bad guys just to generate some phony conflict. They didn't make them bad guys just for the sake of generating conflict.
That was a relief.
Right. Yeah.
Matthew McConaughey, I don't know how long he was supposed to have been stranded out on that island. But when the boys bring him that first can of green beans, he's fucking starving. Like, he's setting out trout lines, he's eating whatever he can. But then later in the movie, we get that classic Matthew McConaughey shot, because really you can't experience Matthew McConaughey in media without seeing him with his shirt off. And later in the movie, we get him with his shirt off, and holy smokes, that guy is yoked. Like, so it takes. I'm just wondering, like, where he was storing all of his protein supplements on the island, because, like, apparently that's all he was living on. Like, he was doing incline press, a lot of sit-ups, and just pounding protein all day.
He was in his cut cycle, yo.
Right. I guess so, and so he was cutting and having the boys bring him some Franks and beans. So John, you also mentioned, and I've mentioned it on previous episodes, where we were talking about on the Wolf of Wall Street episode, we mentioned the reconnaissance. Now, I had heard about all that stuff and seen it talked about and all that without ever seeing this movie. So now that I've seen this movie and also Interstellar, he's still just doing Matthew McConaughey. It's just he's doing it in better roles. And like that's I mean really, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, Tom Cruise has only ever played Tom Cruise. It's just he's had good roles and bad roles. So I like it. I mean, the most stretching he's ever done was in True Detective, but that's not necessarily a movie, and we're not going to talk about that here. But so McConaughey's fine in this movie. He's not great. None of the performances, like, I can't remember the name of the main kid. It's like Winston or something. What's the name of the main kid? Does anybody remember?
Isn't it Ellis?
Ellis, right. Yeah. Ellis. So Ellis did a great job, and Neckbone was good. But I think those were just them, they are young kids, and they're just playing young kids, but they did it well. I don't know. They were fine. None of the performances pulled me out of the movie, but none of the performances wowed me either.
Right.
There was one line that kind of was like, wow.
Like what?
Oh, you hear me? I'm a goddamn princess.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah.
That was fucking awesome.
So, I mean, she only had like 3 lines, and that was her time to shine, and she had to...
Oh, boy, did she try.
She was doing her thing.
Yeah. Oh, she gave it her all.
But yeah, so I actually like this movie. It's not something like this is obviously, this story isn't anything new, and it's not something I have to see again, but I just really liked the atmosphere and the kind of slice of lifeness, I guess, that it was of Mississippi Delta area. And even like all the moves that they made throughout the movie, like getting back to this not necessarily being a spectacular story or anything, like the foreshadowing, like, the first thing they do when they get on the island is they see a pit full of snakes, and they throw and they throw a rock in it, go bitches or whatever. And then
just in case you missed that, they show it again later.
Right, they show it again later, and then they show the old man shooting snakes while he's with his air rifle while he's up sitting on top of his boat. So
actually, I seriously thought Matthew McConaughey was going to get bit again.
See, me
because
too.
He was, like,
yeah.
went into that story about if I get bit again, I die. And I was like, oh, he's going to die.
Right. So one way they could have ended the movie is, Ellis gets bit, and so does Matthew McConaughey, and Matthew McConaughey has to take Ellis to the hospital, and in the process, he dies.
Yeah.
Or can I be another way to make this movie great is do the same thing.
Kill everyone.
Yeah. Boom. Just end it like Return of the Living Dead.
Aww.
Or like The Departed.
Yeah.
Everyone's dead at the end.
No, you have
spoilers for The Departed. Woo!
I
You have
haven't seen that movie.
you have the kid get bit. You have Matthew McConaughey get bit, and he realizes that he only has, he's not getting away now, and he goes on a murder spree and kills the entire mafia because he's only got like a day left. So might as well try to take out all of them before. I mean, kind of like Drive, which I didn't really like either, but yeah, if this ended like Drive, I would have felt much better about it. It's kind of weird because I didn't like Drive. So anyway.
Well, this movie had a very different feel to Drive. Both movies were atmospheric, but kind of in a different way.
Yeah, this one the characters fucking talked.
Yes,
Jesus.
yeah. Yeah, if you want Ryan Gosling to be in your movie, he will. He just doesn't need to. He just won't say anything.
They paid by the word.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd swear he did.
All right, so to wrap it up, So the movie was fine. I enjoyed watching it. It's not great. I don't necessarily need to watch it again, and I would really only recommend it to people if they're a fan of, slow-paced indie movies that don't necessarily have to have a banging story. But one of my favorite things about this movie is when Neckbone and Ellis made off with. They were out like stealing a bunch of stuff, like stealing motors out of boats and taking all kinds of stuff back to Mud out on the island. It reminded me of the time when we were 15, when me and James stole a car and drove up to Saginaw.
What?
Yeah, has James never told you about this, John?
No.
Yeah, so what kind of car was that, dude?
It was a shitty car. It wasn't like anything like really like it wasn't like with a Mustang or anything.
Yeah,
nobody was gonna miss it.
It was a Ford Fiesta, I think.
Yeah, so like me and James, so I had a girlfriend, one of our mutual friends had like set me up with a girl who lived in Saginaw, and I just talked to her on the phone a couple times, and she's like, yeah, well, I'm having a birthday party tonight at my place. If you want to come out. So neither me or James had a car, and we didn't have a ride, but like we were just walking around and we saw this car with the keys in it, and we just did a little joyride. It was great. So we drove up to Saginaw.
A little joyride. Was this from Perry?
Yeah.
Oh my
god. A little joyride to Saginaw. Saginaw's an hour and a half away.
Yeah.
It's a road trip, bro.
I can't believe you did this. How am I the bad one? You're a hardened criminal stealing cars.
Nobody misses a Ford Fiesta.
James covers his tracks.
Well, like it wasn't that big of a deal though, because like we eventually took the car back to where we found it. But
like how long eventually?
Like early morning the next morning. So no, we got up to Saginaw, and this girl that I had been set up with. So I was only 15. Apparently, she was like 19, and I had never seen her before. And like we roll up on the house, and or it's not a house, it's a little apartment complex, and all the lights are off.
Yeah.
What?
Like, I mean, you talk to like people, and when you're in high school, you just talking to live with their parents.
Yeah. So like I figured it would just be at like her house, and her parents would be there or whatever, but
and can do things like afford their electricity bill.
Right. So we roll up on the house, and I keep calling it. It's an apartment complex, and all the lights are off. So like we knock on the door and get in there, and like it's like her
candles
and
everywhere, chilling.
Right. It's her and a couple of her friends, and like they've just kind of been drinking all day, and we just kind of get in there, and so one of her friends had brought over birthday cake and ice cream earlier in the day, but they didn't have power, so they had like put it in a cooler, and and then like everything in the cooler had melted. And like it had gotten to the point in the night where like she wanted to serve cake and ice cream, and like she had kind of been drinking, and things weren't like I was weirded out, and
Right.
like
You're a freaking poor version of Eyes Wide Shut.
yeah, so like I had been.
This is actually starting to sound like my wedding reception.
Oh, God.
But like I was kind of weirded out. We were in a funky mood. She had been drinking for a while, and like when she was trying to serve this ice cream, she all of a sudden got like really emotional and was like feeling really bad. So like me and James just kind of excused ourselves and took off. And like we hadn't eaten anything all night, so we decided to go to a Denny's and just
there was a bum outside that was like
Jesus.
bumming smokes off everybody, and like there was like a whole pack of cigarettes just sort of like chilling in the armrest, so like we just threw it at him.
Yeah, we just gave him we
And he was
tossed the
like
cigarettes to
so
him.
happy that like he just kept following us and talking to us, and he like followed us into the Denny's
Yeah.
and sat down with
Oh,
us,
boy.
and me and Eric were just like completely like, we were too shy to be like, dude, go the fuck away.
Right.
And he's like sitting there saying like, oh man, I'm gonna buy your like I'll buy,
He wanted to
buy your
us
food. And I was, like, why can't you afford smokes if you're going to buy it, whatever? But I was like, free food, whatever. But me and Eric get like full meals and stuff. And like near the end, like this guy's like yelling at us that we didn't get coffee. Like that we didn't just get coffee because like he had like a pocket full of change. And he's like sitting there counting it out, and he's like, getting mad.
Like, why the hell did you guys not get coffee?
Yeah. When I said I'd pay,
Saginaw, the classy town.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
were you guys able to pay your bill?
Oh yeah. We
we-
were intending on paying the whole time, but this guy like just wanted to pay for us.
Yeah.
Oh, and didn't he like? So when we met him, he asked James what his name was, and James didn't want to tell him James, so he just went Bill.
And so,
yeah.
the guy's like, nope, your name's Billy Bob Blowjob.
Wow.
Wow.
Creepy sign of things to come.
So
Yeah.
so then we left the Denny's, drove back to Perry, dropped the car off where we found it, and that was it. But the cigarettes part. Sorry, so getting back to Mud, the cigarettes part of that story reminded me. So he needed the boys to bring him smokes out on the island, or to bring him food out on the island. But he apparently had like cartons of smokes buried alongside of his protein shakes.
Well, if you're a real smoker, that's the one thing you make sure you take care of.
Like,
And I'm sure he
I
rationed
don't know,
them.
he like always had a smoke in.
That is
Actually, he
true.
had magic cigarettes.
Yeah.
I know this is a cruel thing to nitpick because continuity is a real pain in the ass when you're dealing with cigarettes, but there was a shot when he's first talking to them on the beach where he throws his cigarette away into the ocean, and in the next shot, he has it back in his hand again.
Yeah.
That's too bad. So yeah,
Small things.
So that's my take on Mud. It's fine, but it reminded me of a really weird night that me and James had like 15 years ago.
I can't believe you guys stole a car. That blows my mind.
I mean, well,
I feel like that
world-
could
Well,
have
there's
been
a
a movie.
final wrinkle to the story is that, I left my Adderall in, my Adderall prescription in the car.
Oh yeah.
And by the time
my
I went back
gosh.
there the next day, it had turned into a Ford Focus.
Oh.
Oh my god. Okay, that was a joke, and because I was like, "What?" All right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the car took the Adderall. But no,
Yeah,
like,
I
the
got
world
it
was
now.
way different back in the year 2000. Like
It wasn't that.
yeah, it
different.
was.
No.
You could just do whatever you wanted.
Damn, boys, does your mother listen to this thing?
Yes.
Hardly.
Okay, I'm just checking.
I'm gonna make her listen to this episode and say, "See, I was not that bad." But I kind of was. I was actually kind of worse. But still, I wasn't. I never stole the car.
We didn't steal it either. We just borrowed it.
I was gonna say.
We didn't steal the car. It was just borrowed.
You
Do you know the owner?
Okay, well, enough about stolen cars. Let's talk about Mud. Tabby, do you want to go next?
Well, I liked the movie. I agree with Eric.
Yeah.
I was surprised. I kind of expected something more along the lines of your, typical independent trope with like the abusive father and all that stuff. And it was nice to see something that I wasn't expecting. I wouldn't necessarily buy it and watch it again, but I'm glad I watched it once. Is Matthew McConaughey really a dreamboat? Because I don't see it. Maybe it's because I saw it from like days.
I was excited that there's going to be a woman here. I was going to ask you about this because I don't get it either.
Well, like ever since Dazed and Confused, he always comes off as like a creeper to me.
Yes.
So it's like that's all I see every movie. It's Matthew McConaughey being a creeper.
My wife has the same problem to the extent that she really can't even watch him on film.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys have heard the phrase "man's man" before, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's it. I think Matthew McConaughey might be slightly more appealing to guys than women. That might just, and this is just me, because I look at that guy and I'm like, all right,
he's a handsome.
He's cool. He's laid back. He's handsome. He's cut. Yeah, I kind of want to be like him.
Yeah, I totally agree, Johnny.
Yeah.
Eric, you want to be Matthew McConaughey?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah?
Absolutely,
But
yes.
but maybe not in this movie.
I don't know.
Because McConaughey must smell terrible.
Oh, yeah.
Just awful.
Well, I'm sure he like kind of bathes in water, right?
He's got the one set of clothes.
Yeah.
That's not a clean river.
No. Who knows? Maybe just,
So, okay, without the Matthew McConaughey funk, but still, I'd still like to be Matthew McConaughey. You know what? I'll take smelly Matthew McConaughey.
Smelly Matthew McConaughey.
over being
I would too, Johnny. I would too. Over being you, not me. But
right.
they actually uggied Matthew down a little bit in this. Like they gave him bad teeth, which he doesn't have in real life.
Back on him.
Didn't catch on to that.
Yeah.
It made it more realistic.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know he's not brushing his teeth out there.
Oh yeah.
Well, he looked just as sleazy as I always imagined him to be in this movie.
I liked Ellis a lot as a character. He reminds me of pretty much every kid's story of like, exploring the world, and he has this romantic vision of how things are, and he comes to learn that, it's not exactly a fairy tale. So coming of age, the whole mirror of like the boys pausing to see the opening of the river, mirrored with the guys pausing to see the opening of the Mississippi into the ocean.
Yeah,
was nice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I liked little details about that. Yeah, I was going to talk about the snakes. That was so foreshadowed. Like that was overdone.
That was on my list too. That was some very heavy foreshadowing.
It was. I almost just like I was about to rewatch it and count all the snake, appearances, but I was like, no, I'm not rewatching this movie.
The instant you see the snake pool, before they even throw a rock in it, the fact that there's a snake pool there, you're like, somebody's going in that snake pool.
Mm-hmm.
Third act, somebody's going in that snake pool.
Yeah, it's the gun.
Mm-hmm. I would have liked to, add a boat and explore when I was a kid. But I'm in the middle of Michigan, so that I didn't have the nice Mississippi.
The boat
Michigan is the land of 1,000 lakes.
Yeah, but when you're a kid and you're in the middle, it's not necessarily accessible. So the old school diving thing, that was awesome.
That was totally homemade too, wasn't it?
That was what made it so awesome. It's
that was like
added
a
lights.
barrel cut in half.
Yeah. I appreciate that craftiness, And I also kind of wondered why the girl ran out. Like, what did he try to do in the
probably some butt stuff.
Pretty good idea. Yeah, exactly.
No, we know you're not. We know your limits. That's a good thing.
Yeah, seriously, you don't need to raise a big fuss about it.
Right. So would any of you guys like go after, if you were Ellis's age, would you go after that mob guy that was hitting on Reese?
Hell no.
Oh no. No, definitely not.
That took some balls.
No.
I would have turned to Neckbone and I would have said, you know what? We should probably go.
I call the police.
We should get Mud's gun.
what age is Ellis supposed to be again?
He's like 14 or 15.
14.
I thought
yeah.
he said 13.
Had he been 15 or 16, I probably would have been stupid enough to do it. But at 14, definitely not. Like, there's a switch that gets flipped when you hit puberty. And for me, that switch definitely was flipped to like 7 degrees stupider. So I probably would have attempted to intervene in that particular situation.
It's the invincibility switch.
Yeah, I don't know if it was so much of a invincibility thought in my mind, but I mean, Todd, you remember me even in my late teens and how I was I just had a mouth on me. I was
Oh, John, that mouth didn't go away until like maybe a year ago.
I can vouch for it, though.
Yeah. So I probably would have been dumb enough to at least have interjected myself in that situation where I didn't belong. Would have been verbally. I wouldn't have jumped anyone, but...
I was definitely a lot braver when I was a kid. I don't remember when the switch happened for me, but like, I'd come home with a completely skinned leg and be like, isn't this awesome? I got a skateboard! And then I lost the skateboard moments after. No. But
I think at 14 I wouldn't have even talked to Mud in the first place.
Really?
No. At 14, adults were scary.
Yeah.
Adults are scary. Run away.
Especially skeezy adults living on islands. Who can disappear and reappear at will.
Yeah, who have a gun. I enjoyed the movie. That's all I really wanted to say. And I liked the little details that they added to it. But yeah, like when he said, my name is Mud, the first thing that came to my mind, Arrested Development, my name is Judd.
Short but sweet. Yeah. Todd, do you want to finish us off?
Sure, I'll jump in there. I'm not sure it's a good idea to try to make a movie, an entire feature-length movie based on a Primus song, let alone a song that's not their best song.
That was a horrible song.
Primus has a best song?
Well, yeah.
Tommy the Cat. I thought
Jerry
Primus
was a race car driver?
No. I thought all Primus songs were their worst song.
I thought that was a point of the band.
Well, okay, they're 2/3 awful, and then they have the most amazing bass player in the world.
Nah, I mean, Primus is like the musical equivalent of Neil Hamburger.
I don't know. Neil Hamburger's fucking awesome.
If you'll permit me, I'd like to quote from one of the most insightful and prescient thinkers of the 20th century. I'm speaking, of course, of Bugs Bunny, who reminded us that mud spelled backwards is dumb. I didn't like this movie. I didn't hate this movie either, so I don't want to create that impression. It's a quality movie. It's a quality production. They used really good film stock.
Yeah.
I liked the dialogue. The dialogue was really well written. That's not the same thing as saying that the movie was really well written. Some of the reasons I felt that way are like the really heavy-handed foreshadowing, but I also felt like there were no characters that were introduced for the sole purpose of adding character to the movie. Everybody was introduced because they were there to move the plot along, and they weren't introduced until it was time for them to come in and move the plot along.
I don't know. Remember the uncle? He was just there.
That's true, but he was very much in the background.
He was a storytelling device.
But and Ellis is always in the right place at the right time. It's kind of like he's watching the movie with us. He always shows up like, okay, now there's going to be a scene with Reese Witherspoon and the mobster in the motel room that's going to reveal something important, so Ellis needs to be there to watch that. And he just moves from scene to scene and picks up information. He's always in the right place at the right time. Always.
I mean, but like if Ellis were always in the wrong place at the wrong time, we wouldn't really have a story.
Well, that would actually be a hilarious movie. Just shots of Ellis just standing around where nothing happens.
He kicks the dirt,
Yeah,
music
fair
plays.
Bunch of stuff happening in the background of every shot.
Yeah.
It's not as bad as the TV show Psych. I swear that the main character could read words on a piece of paper from way across the room and be like, I know what's going on. He was always at the right place at the wrong time.
That's detective work.
Yeah. They're mad
detective shows.
I don't want to be too negative because it's not that bad a movie, and I think it's a movie for a certain type of person, that there are a lot of people who would really like this like Eric, for example. People who really like movies about the South and about that way of life. This would be an interesting watch.
Yeah, or just seeing a story from some perspective that you don't usually see.
Right.
I mean, but that being said, this is an independent film that is a coming-of-age story about a couple of kids just beginning to learn about love and morality and heartbreak who discover a secret / befriend a mysterious loner. We've seen this movie before. I think you guys have even reviewed this movie before.
Absolutely.
Well, I felt like Ellis was a little more mature, whereas Neckbone was more of a, did you touch a boob? How were a boob?
As I was driving around in my big Frito truck today, I was trying to compose a review in my head, and it kept coming out sounding really negative because my tendency is to kind of try to pick on the little flaws that I picked up on. And I didn't want to go too negative because it's not that bad a movie. But what I realized what you need to do with this one is that it's actually 3 movies. There are 3 movies going on at once in this movie. There's the coming-of-age story is the first one, which they did a fine job with that. It's the nostalgia film about the South and about that lifestyle, which is, I guess, it's a way of life that is sweaty and hot and dusty and unforgiving. It's impoverished, hard-scrabble existence full of hardship and pain, and a way of life that is sadly on the verge of disappearing. But the third movie that's in here is the one where it all falls apart for me, and that's the mystery suspense thriller. I really feel like they came up short on that. It doesn't really deliver any suspense or thrills, nor does it ever properly reveal the mystery. By the end of this movie, all your questions will be questions. You know, like, for example, we all keep referring to the guys who were hunting him as mobsters, but we don't know that they're mobsters.
No, they aren't mobsters. They're bounty hunters and family members of the guy he killed.
Who apparently have a vast network of bribed police officers in this town for no apparent reason.
They must be connected.
They must be connected somehow, but I guess I'd really like a little background on that. I don't know. There were a lot of things that weren't, a lot of blanks that weren't filled in that stick with me and bother me. Well, you guys kind of tried to explain away the whole Ellis being in the right place at the right time thing, but there were also a lot of huge coincidences that needed to happen for the story to proceed. And, like, for example, Tom Blankenship, the assassin. I don't remember who brings the name up when they're first talking on the island, if it's Mudd or Ellis. But bottom line is, Ellis just happens to live 30 yards away from this guy that was a father figure to Mudd, and it comes up in conversation the first time they meet.
Yeah, so Ellis tells Mudd where he's from, and Mudd goes, "Oh, I knew a guy that used to live up there. Is it so-and-so?" And Ellis is like, "Yeah, he lives across the river from me."
Yeah, he lives shouting distance from me. I mean, that's all I really have on this one. It felt too convenient and too neatly organized, and that may just be because I wasn't really engaged by it, which left me free to kind of pick at it a little bit.
See, if it was everybody, I would feel like I would agree, but since it was just one person, I have small world moments all the time where I'm like, oh wait, I know that person, like, they live right next door to me or blah, 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 you know?
Sure.
So, one person, it's passable. Like, if he lived next to every important character that was, you know, important to the plot.
Every character in this movie was important to the plot. There were no throwaway characters at all. I have one minor nitpick, and then I have a big revelation that I had while thinking about this movie today that I want to run by you guys and see if anybody else feels the same way. The nitpick is I kind of think Mudd handed Neck a loaded gun.
Oh, with one bullet?
Yeah, 16 in the clip and 1 in the hole, as Nate Dogg tells us. He dropped the clip out, but he didn't pop the one out of the chamber. The big thing that I realized today is when I started breaking this movie down and tearing it apart and breaking it down into its individual 3 movies that it's composed of, I realized that at the core of this movie is some pretty stunning misogyny. This is a pretty misogynist movie.
Because they said, can't count on a woman loving you.
Well, they said that, and they also demonstrated
over and over again.
They demonstrated it in every woman in this movie is low down and trifling. There are no positive female characters at all. All women are conniving bitches that are going to break your heart, and that's all that they do. Was I the only one that kind of picked up on that?
No,
I don't.
I'm just so used to the movies by now.
Well, that may be.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think I was looking for it. You know.
No, I wrote that line down because they repeated it
They did
several
repeat it
times.
several
Can't count a woman loving
And
you.
that would have been
Can't
one
trust
thing,
a
but then it rings true throughout the story.
So Mud. So first off, before I get started, I do want to say that at my local arcade last weekend, I was literally a foot away from the creator of Pac-Man. Millie and I were playing Bubble Bobble, and he was standing right next to me. I had no idea who he was, so I totally didn't get an autograph from the guy who created the game that changed my life.
Aww.
So this weekend, at the exact same arcade, is going to be Billy Mitchell.
Go
Who
punch that
is-
fucker
Oh
in the
no!
Yeah, who is still the record holder for the highest score ever achieved on Pac-Man.
Wow.
Yep. So, and yes, he is a cocksucker, but you know,
Yeah. And those of us,
Why does everybody have
Eric
such
hasn't seen
animosity
the
towards
movie.
Billy Mitchell?
have you seen King of Kong, Eric?
No.
It is one of the best documentaries that I have ever seen, and it's all about the chase for the world's highest Donkey Kong score. And
Ooh.
Billy Mitchell has held that title several times, but the film, I mean, the dude's a villain. The dude's like short of a muscle twirling villain in the video game world. He gets up to some very shady shit.
And
so,
all on camera while he knows he's on camera.
all right. Anyway, I just wanted to say that because I was very excited. So anyway, Mud. I actually like this movie. I didn't think it was like super excellent or anything like that, but I did think it was actually fairly decent. I do have to say that I had several false starts with this movie. One of the things that didn't come up in anybody's review, which I was actually surprised, is a little bit was touched on a little bit by Eric. Is that this movie is incredibly slow.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to mention that.
And if you are like even the least bit sleepy, you will fall asleep during this film. I did it probably about 4 times before I was actually able to get through the entire film.
Oh, wow.
Because it was that slow and I kept drifting. Once I was able to actually get through it, there are some cool things at work here. First off, it's the only movie I've seen in recent memory that portrays southern, like deep South people who are poor as not completely ignorant alcoholic bastards.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, like these people weren't portrayed very poorly at all, really. Like, other than just being poor.
Right, other than just being poor. But that doesn't necessarily have to be a reflection on your character. And like Eric said, I also agree with him. There's not really a lot of made-up drama. But in a way, I think the fact that there isn't those things is kind of what, unfortunately, adversely affects the pacing of this movie.
Right.
You can definitely see in here that the creators and the writers of this film were deeply inspired by Mark Twain, specifically Huckleberry Finn, because the feel that you get from the way that these boys are really out of time. You know, I'm pretty sure that this is one of those movies where I was really hard pressed to tell exactly what time period it was supposed to take place in.
Yeah.
Can I interject
I think it's
something?
current. I think it's
I
current.
also
think it's
think
current,
it's current, but the thing that kind of throws you is there's no technology.
No.
And I feel like that had to have been a conscious choice on the part of the director, and I don't understand why.
Well, the most technology you see is the motors. You know what I mean?
There's not even cell phones. Every time there's a scene with somebody talking on the phone, it's an old style. They even show a fucking payphone in this movie.
So that might place it a little bit earlier, but it's hard to tell because, like I said, you know, there are places, and like you said, Todd, they're disappearing, but there are places that are pulled out of time. This and the town in Wolf Cop share a lot of similarities.
There was a cell phone with the cop when he called the one bounty hunter guy.
You're right. I did catch that because it was the only cell phone in the whole movie.
Right.
So on one hand, you have this kind of nifty, like, Deep South piece that definitely has good dialogue. And, you know, I actually really liked Ellis. I thought he was very expressive for an actor his age. I always caught exactly what he was feeling, like right off the bat. But then on the other side, you have all these weird little plot devices and very obviously telegraphed moments.
Mm-hmm.
So really, I gotta say that this one kind of splits right down the middle. I don't think it's terrible. I don't think it's super great. I do think it's worth a watch, though, especially if you do like these kind of like deep south. If you really get off on atmosphere, this is a good movie for you.
Oh, yeah.
I think that this movie is the equivalent of a Sunday ride in a car. It's not something that people really do much anymore, but
Oh, I still do Sunday drives.
yep, see, and you like this movie. So I think
Yeah.
it's kind of the same deal. I think
Yeah.
if you're the type of person who enjoys just driving the fuck around with no particular place to go on a Sunday afternoon really slowly, you will probably enjoy watching this movie. But I would actually recommend that you watch this movie when you are supposed to be out driving on a Sunday, because I got shit to do and you're in my way. So you should stay home and watch Mud.
Week after week, trying to keep up with the Joneses. Show them you mean business with our new Turbo Lawn apparel. Here's how it works. Buy a Turbo Lawn t-shirt, but tell your neighbors you just got the new Vlarf Turbo Lawn, and it came with a free t-shirt. Watch them panic as they destroy their lives trying to one-up your fantastic fictitious purchase. Don't forget to really stick it to them by telling them your Turbo Lawn has the same great taste as always, but with half the calories of normal shrubbery.
You can reach the Jon Hates Movies merchandise store by going to our Facebook page and clicking on the Shop Now button. Or you can just manually go there by typing in www.cafepress.com/Jon Hates Movies, all one word, into your browser.
Welcome back, everybody. It is now time for the game.
Yay!
This week on Jon Hates Movies, we are doing all things McConaughey-rific, including a game. So I will be asking a series of trivia questions, all of them related to Matthew McConaughey.
Thanks, John.
Oh, no!
So, the rules...
I know, right?
I'm sorry, what?
They're all complaining because I'm going to win again.
Well, that's true.
I'm horrible at trivia. I'm worse at Matthew McConaughey.
Let's start the game. It's going to be your name is your buzzer. So when you think you have the answer, feel free to buzz in.
Tabby! Sorry.
Yes, that's a good practice, Tabby. Question 1. Matthew McConaughey was born in Texas. That's the state that he was born in. And he is definitely American, but that is not the only country that he has lived in. What other country did Matthew McConaughey live in for a year? James.
Australia.
You are correct, sir. James
Oh, wow.
has won so far.
Wow.
I'm
I just guessed. Woo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Question number 2. Everybody knows that Matthew McConaughey's breakout role was in Dazed and Confused. Name the character that he played.
Eric. Wooderson.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I thought it was Woody.
It's David Wooderson.
Yeah, Wooderson.
Yep.
Everybody, that's what they call him.
nobody
They called him
David.
Wooderson.
Yep. Question number 3. Before Dazed and Confused, Matthew McConaughey made a TV appearance in this famous true crime series.
Tabby. Law and Order? I don't know.
James.
Dragnet.
Todd.
America's
Most Wanted.
All right.
Well,
So-
should I take a guess
shot.
just to see if I get it
Give
right?
a shot.
I will go with 48 Hours Mystery.
Wrong. The answer was Unsolved Mysteries. Question number something. 4? 5? Question number something. Matthew McConaughey's people tried to get his appearance in this movie downplayed significantly, so much that they tried to get him uncredited from the DVD box.
Whoa.
Really?
Eric. Rain of Fire?
Nope.
Todd.
Yes.
Some shitty rom-com starring Jennifer Aniston?
No. Actually, he did a lot of shitty rom-coms.
Tabby?
Tabby?
Wolf on Wall Street?
No. Alrighty. The answer to that was Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation.
Wow.
I had no idea it was in that movie.
I had no idea that movie was a thing.
Yes. Next question. Matthew McConaughey has guest starred on a couple of things, but what primetime cartoon show did he do a voice
Tabby.
for? Debbie.
I think King of the Hill?
You are correct, Tabby.
I was going to say Simpsons, but I was like,
that makes
I
sense.
think
So as it stands right now, James has one, Eric has one, and Tabby has one.
All right.
Todd is not on the board at all. And
Todd
we're
has
running
not
out of
scored. If you're keeping score at home, Todd has not scored a point in now 4 guest appearances. Pray continue.
Everybody knows that the performance that Matthew McConaughey did in The Wolf of Wall Street is based on a real warm-up that he does. What most people don't know is that warm-up has a name. How was this warm-up credited on the soundtrack of The Wolf of Wall Street?
Eric.
I'm
going to go with War Chant.
Close, but not exactly. I'm not going to give it to you. Tabby.
I'm just throwing something out. Rain Chant? I don't know.
Tabby. Close, but not enough. Anyone else?
There's a chant.
James. War Cry?
No.
Damn it.
That leaves you.
I might as well guess, right? War Dance.
No.
It was obviously Chant was in it, right?
Yes, it was chant. It was the money chant.
Oh.
Yes.
See, I think it might have helped if I actually knew what he said.
Rain Chant,
No, he
you
doesn't
make it
say
rain
anything.
with money.
Yeah, he could make it rain money. I mean, come on.
You do if you have frog dollars.
Oh, that's true.
Okay, this one might be a little bit of a cop-out, but bear with me. If those of you who have visited Matthew McConaughey's IMDb page, he has, at the very top, something that is in pre-production. What is its name?
To be titled at a later date?
Oh, that's really close, Tabby.
James.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Untitled Project.
Yes, James
Yeah!
gets it.
2 points.
How can you have an untitled project?
Because they haven't given it a title yet.
It's a placeholder all the time.
All right. Well, all right. Let's see here. James is with 2, Eric has 1, and Tabby has 1. Here's one. Maybe even Todd can get this one. What is Matthew McConaughey's middle name?
Tabby. Bud. No, I'm just
Nope.
Eric. David.
You are right, sir.
Yep. And I didn't even look that up. I just pulled that out of my brain.
Yes.
Because I have looked at McConaughey's Wikipedia page in the past.
All right.
Oh,
So we are going to settle this with a McConaughey off.
Me and James?
You and James.
All right.
All right.
You're both going to McConaughey off.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Okay.
so we have to take our shirt. James, hold on. Well, okay, stop, guys. I'm going to take my shirt off really quick. James,
Good
you have to
idea.
take your shirt off too, all right?
All right. Yep.
And you also have to answer in this southern accent.
All right. All right, my shirt's off. Let's do this.
Wow.
All right. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Starting with his, and this is just movies. Starting with his appearance in Dazed and Confused, we can cross that one off the list. You are going to name as many McConaughey movies as you can. Movies, not television shows, not obviously, like HBO series like True Detective.
Do they have to be sequential?
No,
Do they have to be in order?
They do not
Okay.
have to be in order. Just as many as you can possibly name.
How about you go and then I'll go and then you go and first one to stumble fails.
Okay, yeah, we go back and forth then. All right, John. So which one of us starts first?
Let's go with James first.
Interstellar.
All right, Eric.
Sahara.
Failure to Launch.
Eric.
The Lincoln Lawyer.
James.
Wolf of Wall Street.
Eric.
How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
Oh, yeah.
James.
Oh,
how many? Is it 3 strikes you're out, or do you think we should just go with the first to fail?
I can go. I can keep going here.
Come on, James.
I haven't used one in one of my guesses.
Yeah, I was gonna. Oh, that
Can
was
I give
you.
him a clue?
I have like 4 more to go.
No,
Can I give him a
no
clue
clues.
for it?
No clues.
damn it.
Come on, James.
Son of a bitch. Alright, never mind. I was trying to do something. Yeah, I'm out, actually.
What? You really?
Yeah, I really don't know that many McConaughey movies.
Well,
and I was trying to get the fucking Mr. Belvedere theme song to play through my goddamn speakers.
You have to do stereo mix. Well, there's The Wedding Planner.
Yep.
Contact.
Yep.
I forgot about Contact.
There was Rain of Fire that I already talked about.
Is he on
Time to
Ed
Kill
TV?
is the one you were referencing.
Yeah, Time to Kill. Yep.
Was he in Ed TV, right?
He was in Ed TV. He was Ed.
Sometimes I mix up, like, in my head, I'll, like, put a character into a movie that I think they should be in, but they're actually not.
He was in Tropic Thunder.
Fool's Gold.
Fool's Gold. Bernie.
Ghost of Girlfriend's Past.
Yep.
I haven't seen Bernie. Is it good?
And he was in Mud, which we would have taken, James. So McConaughey, the lesson to take home here, kids, is that McConaughey is everywhere and everything. So, ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the game is Eric. Eric!
Yay!
What
That's
are
a
we watching
shocker.
next week?
I'm surprised.
Okay, guys. For this week, we are going to watch a Scottish man try to do a Russian accent.
Hey!
We're going to watch The Hunt for Red October.
Yay! I'm going to watch it, even though I'm not going to be on the show.
Yay!
I fucking love this movie. I fucking love this movie.
I'm just a cook. Wait, no, that's not that movie.
Well, that's fucking Under Siege.
I know. I haven't seen that movie in ages, and I'm excited to be a part of this. So that's it, folks, for tonight. Thank you very much for listening to our episode of Mud. And next week, we'll be watching The Hunt for Red October.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun. Dramatic music, yeah.
It's the Crazy Ivan.
That's
Oh, Matthew McConaughey sub movie U571.
There we go.
Oh, jeez.
He was in a sub movie?
Matthew McConaughey is all things. Good night, everybody! A great big thank you to our staff graphic artist, Tabby Walters, the Weekly Cast, and our listeners. You can listen to our podcast on iTunes, the Stitcher app, through YouTube, or directly on our website. Feel free to send us a movie review suggestion. Every third episode is Listener Appreciation, where we choose from your suggestions. You can reach us through social media, either by liking our Facebook page, Jon Hates Movies YouTube channel, or following our Twitter at Jon Hates Movies. Our music was composed by Kevin MacLeod. You can find this track and many more on his website, incompetech.com. Thanks for listening, and tune in next week to hear someone say,
Okay, take your dick out of my childhood.
Oh.
Never.